Welcome to The Young and the Restless. I'm Olivia.
I'm Victor.
And I'm Zach. And this is the podcast where a fiddle has one more string than a violin and it goes boop.
Now I lay me down to sleep. I dreamt I had a soul to keep. And if I die before I wake, will that dream just go on for its own sake?
Nailed it that time.
Nice. Nicely done.
I was listening to our most recently aired episode, number 50. It was a Victor dream. I was listening to it in on my commute in traffic, and I got to the part where you were talking about how your ultimate goal in life is to never talk to anyone again.
Yeah, it's the dream, man.
And I found it funny that it didn't register with me at the time we were recording that. It took me listening to it as a podcast listener of our own pod to be like, wait, but you're on a podcast. This guy doesn't want to talk to anybody. Yet here he is in my ears.
What makes me such a great podcast host? I don't want to be here.
Total reluctance. If you're thinking about starting a podcast, maybe consider not wanting to and forcing yourself to do it.
That's how all great podcasts are made.
Yeah, everything I've ever accomplished in life has started with not wanting to do something.
The first step is...
That is so true, though.
Most things worth doing are kind of a huge pain in the ass.
That's true. And most things that aren't that great for you, health-wise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The things that are feel good and are easy, like sitting and eating Oreos.
I don't know what you're talking about.
A lot of people...
It's good for your soul.
There's some quote, I can't remember who, but there's authors that have been quoted saying oh, well, I hate writing, but I love to have written.
Yeah.
The process is fucking miserable, but it's worth it, And podcasting is like that. Every time before we come out here, I'm I don't want to do this.
I want to go talk to that fucking guy.
Just want to play Xbox. But every time I'm glad that I did it. I'm always happy that it happened.
Yeah. So Zach, you're in kind of a white void of a space.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you were calling it an Airbnb, but it just kind of looks like you've wandered off of reality.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Airbnb and beyond. There's a third there's a third B. And it's the ether. It's just a white wall. For listeners of this audio medium, picture nothing. But we're in an Airbnb in Gardena, California. In transitions, it's fitting this little white liminal space because it was a very liminal period of time. But we do have a destination now.
Hey.
Yeah, we. I can't remember how much I talked about last time, but yeah, Shelby.
Let's hear it all.
Shelby's friend signed on the dotted line on a place here. She's buying it. She's going to be our landlord.
Nice.
Awesome.
That's very cool.
That seemed like such a wild long shot. I'm so glad that worked out.
Yeah, and quickly. That's great.
Yeah, and it's also in Gardena. That's why we're staying
cool.
down here because it's halfway. It's about halfway between LA and Long Beach, so it's kind of a haul up to LA proper. But
Long Beach was where you were going to start, right? So that was...
Yeah, that would have been a crazy commute, though. But at the time, I was thinking I would try to find work down in Long Beach. But anyway, everywhere is a crazy commute here. So is this interesting, talking about the traffic in LA? Has anyone done that before?
They build a lane.
I've never heard anything about it.
And there's just more cars. And they build another lane. And there's just more people driving because they built another lane. Doesn't stop.
That's why people are I heard they opened a new lane in LA. We should move there.
When we were driving through California, we were in Northern California in the Bay Area, but people drive like maniacs down there. I would literally be going 10 over and someone would be riding my ass and honking and then they would swerve around me. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Am I supposed to go 20 over? Is that what I'm supposed to do? I think that's what you're supposed to do.
I didn't like it.
Yeah, now there's a mass exodus from California. Over the past few years, a lot of people have been leaving California. But yeah, so these lunatics are going on driving on other city streets. And it was definitely a thing in Denver, where I lived for years. Like, if you saw a California license plate, you kind of steered clear. But yeah, there's going to be like a little bit of a transitional period. You know, she's got to do some things with the house, get some contractors in and out of there. So we'll probably be living in an Airbnb for like, I don't know, hopefully not longer than a few weeks.
Yeah, this makes me happy.
Well, hopefully you guys still have some time to enjoy together, spend some time together.
Oh yeah, for sure. We were just talking yesterday about how, because we both got home around the same time, around like 3 p.m, which was when I was staying with when she was staying with me and my roommates, and she was basically unemployed. You know, we had those same hours when I got home from work until I had to go to bed. But for some reason, it feels, when it's just the two of us in this like one bedroom, the time just moves differently. We felt, by virtue of having more space and more breathing room, it felt like we had more time.
That makes sense.
That's great. Yeah.
I don't know how that works. There's probably some theoretical physics behind that. When you just,
Victor, you're reading a book about.
Yeah, I keep talking everybody's ear off about this book that I was reading because and now I've been talking about it too long. So it's like, what, does Victor read one book a year? And yeah, right now I read like one book a year. I'm working on it.
You don't understand how big this red dog was.
No, I was reading this book that was really interesting. It was like trying to give the most scientifically up-to-date understanding of what time is and how time works that we have up till now, or like a year or two ago when the book was written. But in layman's terms, as best as possible, so that an idiot like me can understand it. It was interesting. It basically like takes all the things you think you know about time and deconstructs it. I think it's called The Order of Time. It's very good.
Yeah, I think you might have mentioned it before.
Yeah. But anyway, when you're saying that, it's unrelated, but it did make me think of a thing in that book where it was talking about how like time and space or matter or whatever are like they like occupy kind of the same frequency or whatever. But what I remember getting out of it is that like where there is like more physical stuff, there's literally less time, and when there's less physical stuff, there is more time. It's like infinitesimally small or whatever. Like you can't really pick up on it, but like it is like there's like less space for time to be where there is more things.
Yeah,
does that make sense?
Yeah,
it's a kind of mindfuckery. But
so there's less time in LA than there is like in the desert.
I can't remember how it worked, but there's a measurable difference in the amount of how time flows, whether you're like at sea level versus like up on a mountaintop. You can measure it. It's like it's beyond human perception, but it's different. Every individual place has kind of a different relationship with time.
It definitely feels true, but I think like the logical part of the brain chalks it up to like, oh, I'm in a busy city, I'm busy, there's so much going on, therefore time is flying. And it's probably
it's definitely not like a thing you'd perceive, but it's kind of funny that it's like your intuition of like just what it is to be a person is also kind of lined up with weird theoretical physics.
Yeah, I'm just happy to be able to pee with the door open.
Hell yeah.
Cook in my underwear. Well, I did that before. It just bummed out 2 grown men.
I've started peeing with the door open as preparation for Victor probably seeing me poop here.
That's true.
Wait.
In a couple months.
Oh, when you give birth?
Well, yeah, he's going to see a lot more than the poop, I guess. But that is something.
I keep
that is
telling
something
her.
That'll probably happen.
Keep saying these are half measures. You just take a shit in front of me. Just take a fat shit. Poop wherever. Poop on me, I say.
Exposure therapy.
And not because it's a thing I'm into. Just for our, to prepare us. I won't enjoy it, I swear. Hey, Olivia, do you have any dreams for us today?
So organic.
So many. I have so many dreams.
Why don't you share one with us?
Okay. Now I'm not sure which one I want to do.
Talk a big game. I got all these dreams. They're so fascinating.
I had
Got a
like I had
handful of
one of the
pictures,
most
man.
like vivid dreams that I've had in a long time, and it was like, I don't know, it was very interesting to me. And then I had one that was kind of funny, and then last night I had 3 that I wrote down. So, okay.
So where do you want to start?
Do you shush?
Yeah. I dive right into the deep end. You want to do the funny one that's actually really dark if you ask any questions about it whatsoever? I don't know that. I'm just assuming that based on dream history.
I really want to do the one where Victor was looking on eBay for wartime M&Ms, vintage wartime M&Ms. And I brought my own egg to the restaurant for breakfast, but I'm not going to.
What? It sounds like you just started.
Yeah.
You just started.
Man, so ripe for interpretation.
I'm not going to because this dream seriously was like one of the most vivid dreams I've had in a long time. So I'm going to tell it.
Not the M&M dream.
No, that's for the readers to figure out on their own time.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Do you want the M&M dream? I can do that one.
No. Do the one you want to do.
I can do that one.
No. You're not allowed to do it anymore.
Okay, so in this dream, we were on San Juan Island, which is an island here in Washington State that Victor and I have spent a decent amount of time exploring. And in the dream, it was that there was a new beach that we hadn't been to yet. And there was it felt like there was a reason why we hadn't gone there. Like there was something mysterious or creepy about it. But we decided to go. And so it kind of took us on a hike over this big hill and down to this beach. And when we got there, it was really a really beautiful beach. And there was kind of a thin, a narrow path that we were walking down. And I was walking on the path, and the path had shallow water over it. And there were giant snails in the water. And I remember getting a positive feeling about the snails. And then I looked to my right into the ocean, and there was probably 7 or 8 giant red snakes coiled up together in the water. And there was a negative vibe about the snakes. And I decided to just kind of walk past them cautiously. And then we get to this threshold that it was there was a fog in the air, a mist in the air with little particles floating in it. And it felt very mystical and magical. And once you walk through this, you're going through a veil or something. And I could see on the other side of it was the actual beach that's where the beach started. It got wider, and there were a bunch of children performing a play on the beach. And at this point, I think I decided I didn't want to interrupt their play. And so I turned around and started walking back up the path. But when I got to the place where the snails and the snakes were, the snakes leapt out of the water and attacked me. And they told me that only one can return. At which point I think it was well, neither of us would go back then. And so we went back to the beach, and this time the kids were not performing a play. They were all sleeping in cots. And we got there, and they woke up and explained that they'd been stuck there for years and years, and there's no way to get back to the real world, and that they've tried to send out radio signals. And I like vaguely remember thinking that my dad might have like caught one of those signals one time on his radio. And then the last kind of part of it was that this girl there like took me aside and like told me like if I ever wanted to go back, I had to quote unquote refuse the call. And by that she meant that she explained that I had to like take off every article of clothing that I was wearing and like fold them and put them on a shelf. And I got the feeling that this like had never worked before, but it was like a ritual thing that I could supposedly do to maybe get to go back to real life. I'm not sure. And then I remember telling her that I was going to have a baby in a couple of months. And I said, that must be exciting for you, meaning like that they're this small community of people stuck on a beach that like probably hadn't seen that ever. Or there's probably not any babies there.
And they haven't figured out how to make any.
Yeah. Well, it was like most of them were kids too. And then the last thing was that she had me pick out a box to put my underwear in. And there was like, she was holding out like several options of these little like, they're almost like origami paper boxes. And I remember picking like a blue and yellow checkered box. And I like put my underwear in it. And I was just like standing there naked on the beach. Yeah, that was it. But it was like very, very vivid. And the whole thing with the snakes and the snails just felt like, I don't know, it like really stuck with me more than a lot of dreams do.
So you did refuse the call? Or
yeah, but I got the sense that wasn't going to do anything. It was just like out of principle. I was like stating, it was like there were like clothes that I could like, I don't know, they were like provided clothes. I don't know. And to refuse the call, it was like you take off all your clothes and you don't put on the new ones.
Isn't that part of the Joseph Campbell story circle?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Refusing the call?
Yeah.
Is that what you think your subconscious meant by that? Or you were just like...
I don't know. That was the word. Those were the words that were used, but it felt like... It felt like if you want to make a statement of non-compliance, you can not put on the clothes that are like provided for you, the uniform or whatever. I feel like it was like a tunic or something. It felt like a very cult-like thing happening on the beach too, but like not by choice. Like nobody was there by choice.
Did you try and leave again after you took all your clothes off?
No, I felt like I was going to be there forever.
Okay.
Like it felt like there was no going back, and that I was doing the refusal of the call as like a statement, but it was just like
pointless.
Yeah, it was just, I think she literally said, "This has never worked before, but we're told that this is what you should do if you're not like super stoked to be here."
Mm. So do you have any first impressions?
That it's probably about like the permanence of becoming a parent.
Mm. And only one of us can leave. So one of us will leave the other one being a parent.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of that. Because it never really felt like one of us could leave. It felt like they said that, but like neither of us were gonna leave the other one there.
I misunderstood that part. When you said that the snake said that to you, I thought you meant only one of you could leave between you and the snake.
Oh, no, it was like we arrived in a pair and only one of us could leave. One of us had to stay.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I thought it was like, there's no way one of us would leave the other one, so we both would stay.
That was it. It was that one of us could leave, but we were like, well, we're not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
We're both going to stay then. But like, we didn't want to live on a beach forever.
Yeah.
It was like a lovely beach though. Like it was really nice there. It was really warm and like sunny, and it did feel like the people there were like doing okay. And like I remember thinking like, fuck, we're not going to get Indian food here. Like
It's the first thing your brain goes to.
yeah, there
That's
was
not
like
surprising.
there was like yeah, I fucking love
There's no
it.
tiki masala here. This place sucks.
There was like a garden. They like had their own like organic garden, and like they had shelter, but it seemed like it was just nice. Like I got the impression that it was just like perfectly comfortable and nice there like all the time.
Ugh. What a nightmare.
But you're completely cut off from the rest of the world, and like there were like magical forces keeping you from ever contacting the rest of the world again, and you can't go get Indian food and come back.
Do you remember sorry if you said it already, because I know you described the box that the clothes came in. Did you remember what the clothes looked like?
I didn't ever see the clothes that I was supposed to put on, but I saw what the kids were wearing on the beach, and they were wearing like white tunics.
Okay. Be funny if this was because if this was about parenthood, if the clothes on the box was like mom jeans for you and cargo shorts for Victor and New Balance, and like the refusal of the call is like you being determined to stay cool and like hip, even though there is like this blissful serenity to just giving up on being cool and just.
I think we gave up a while ago.
Yeah, we're not cool. We're not trying to be cool.
I mean, even like with it, like informed, even like you know what's going on TikTok, at least peripherally.
I know what's going on my For You page on TikTok.
It does feel like parents give up on being informed, doesn't it?
But so snakes have been like very present in my dreams lately. There's like, I've done a few snake dreams on the pod, and then there have been several snake dreams that I haven't done on the pod.
Have you retained what the snake symbolism is?
Yeah, it's an evil asshole. Right?
Okay.
Isn't that what a snake is?
Evil
A
asshole.
greedy, arrogant, evil asshole.
And I had that Batman of Snakes dream too, so we've done it a few times. Yeah, it's like I remember like being reminiscent of the Garden of Eden type, like deceptive, insidious kind of evil
The
force.
ruiner. Yeah. A person with no family values.
Interesting.
Yeah. Permanent ruin and failure and loss.
The devil.
It felt like the snakes, they didn't actually harm me. They were just, they were there to prevent me from leaving.
One of you.
Right.
I mean, this statement of only one of you can leave, and you feeling like, well, that's not true, or we're not going to do that. Like, if a snake is a liar or something deceptive, there might be some significance to that statement coming out of that symbol.
And like red is strictly a negative symbol, right?
Yeah, it's like violent and angry, right?
Yeah. It can represent passion, but it's mostly a negative symbol.
It's just negativity, right?
Thoughts, emotions, or behaviors that are unhealthy, unpleasant, or deceitful. Anger, fighting, meanness, or dishonesty. Feelings about how dangerous a situation or people's behavior is.
Dangerous feelings that everything is on the line.
The color red is a sign that you are being excessive, immoral, dishonest, or experiencing something unpleasant. Red can also reflect full knowledge that you're doing something that you know is wrong.
Let's try and figure out what the red snakes are, because I feel like that's a good like linchpin for this.
Shouldn't have been taking off your clothes around all those kids. That was the...
She took me to like a weird walk-in closet on the beach. There was privacy.
You just gonna stay in there forever?
I think the situation was that I had to take off all my clothes, fold them, put them on the shelf, pick a box for my underwear, put my underwear in the box, and then put all my clothes back on.
Just had to go commando.
Oh, so it's not even being naked, it's just going commando.
No, I think I had to put the underwear back on. I just had to take it all off and put it away and then put it back on.
Mm.
But like I assumed that happened next, but like it ended with me just standing there naked.
I don't know.
So your
I don't know
active
about that.
your active ultimate defiance is just feeling corduroy against your bare butt, just chafing for the rest of eternity.
So I can start going through symbols one by one, or we can sit and try and discuss the snakes specifically. But I feel like the snakes will make more sense in context of other stuff.
Okay. Yeah, we can go through some other symbols.
Yeah, I think the snakes, it feels like the snakes are just like representative of the boundary, right? It's like you're boxed in.
Yeah.
My immediate
okay, so-
knee-jerk thing about the snakes is that it's something you've talked about before, Olivia, which is like all the negativity that is unnecessarily thrown your way when you're expecting, like, people just for some reason feeling a need to be like, oh, you're never going to sleep again, and like, oh, it's so hard, you know what I mean? Like, it's a phenomenon that you've talked about before, and if this is about, crossing into parenthood, and that's like right there at the beginning of the precipice of the beach.
Yeah,
and
that
it's
actually
like,
does resonate.
It's anger and lies, and it's in your face and telling you, I don't know.
That does feel pretty true, because like I feel like ultimately what you've just described is more about fear than anything else, right? Like all of those things, like all of the negativity and like and stuff that people like try to, force onto new parents. It's not helpful, and it's also just like that is just hanging in my head as like a fear thing now,
Yeah.
Like all it does for me is like sit there as a thing where it's like, well, you're never going back, and like here's all the reasons why this might suck, and like what have you done, But like that's kind of all it is just like a fear.
I don't know why I don't have that. I don't know why. Maybe it just isn't real for me yet or whatever, but like when we were considering like if we were going to have kids or not, at that stage I was thinking about like anxiety over downsides or whatever, but pretty much since I found out you were pregnant, I have just been like, okay, this is what we're doing. Like, I'm not like dwelling on it like not going well or like us being less happy or something. Like, it's just not in my head.
It's not really for me either. Like, I think that stuff comes up for me in little ways, like about like birth and stuff, like especially like lately when I have like sometimes people, usually just like strangers or acquaintances, will be like, oh, where are you having your baby? And like when I tell people that we're having a home birth, I get met with like the most unhelpful, like rude things. Like people like basically say that like I'm putting our baby at risk, and like and it's like, that is so not helpful. Like, I've done so much research on this. Like, we made a really informed decision, and like all you're doing, like if you're sitting here, if you thought about what you're doing right now, you're just like instilling fear in somebody, like for no reason, someone you don't even know. And it's like, I feel like that is the way that has come up for me the most. And that's the same thing as people being like, oh, you're never going to sleep again. Like,
right.
People just being like, oh, good luck with that. Like, you're going to be in immense pain and you're not going to have an epidural. It's like, great, thanks. Thank you for that. Super helpful. That's like the only way. Like, I feel like in parenthood, I'm not too worried. Like, I feel like you and I can handle anything. Like,
You mean, and then you move past the snakes, and they didn't actually hurt you. They didn't actually like
they kind of leapt out at me.
Right. So, it feels like that symbolic dynamic at play is like you trying not to let those things affect you. That negativity out there in the world, that's more external. Like, obviously it's something you're going to think about, but
yeah,
maybe I've done, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's like,
I've done work to not internalize it, I think is what I was trying to say.
Right. I don't know. Yeah, like the whole thing, it weirdly didn't feel like it didn't feel like the end of the world that we were now stuck on this beach forever and that there was no going back. It felt like really magical there. Like it felt like a very special place. And yes, there were downsides. We were never going back. I was not going to get to eat Indian food ever again, probably. But like, I wasn't, I don't know. I wasn't like, I feel like I was in a place of acceptance pretty quickly. But I did refuse the call.
Well, do you want to run through these symbols now? Sorry, I didn't mean to like get us hung up on the snakes.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of symbols here. I'm not going to... Were there any symbols that stuck out to you, Liv, that you wanted to explore? Or do you want me to just go in the order they appeared?
I almost feel like this dream it might be a good one to Gestalt.
Okay. What had the most weight?
Like the place itself, or I think we didn't talk about this again, but that like threshold, the like misty magical threshold of like, it was like it was literal magic in the air. I think let's do the beach.
Okay. You're going to embody the beach?
Yeah.
Okay. My purpose is?
To hold you.
My goal is?
To keep you.
My biggest fear is?
Losing you.
I love?
The magic.
I hate?
The snakes.
I desire / I wish.
To be. That was the easiest Gestalt I've ever done.
You're a beach.
What if this dream was about the M. Night Shyamalan movie?
Old?
Yeah.
That was a bad movie.
This would be Jung, right? They're all
yeah, this is the
beach.
opposite.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking if the beach is parenthood, and that's, a big next step in life. Yeah. It ages you.
All right, so my purpose is to hold you. My goal is to keep you. My biggest fear is losing you. I love the magic. I hate the snakes. I desire / I wish to be.
That all feels true. I'm not totally sure like what it connects to, but it does feel like parenthood, or like.
So when you said you were talking to Olivia?
Yeah.
Why would the beach hate the snakes? What's that about? Aren't the snakes kind of doing something? If the beach's purpose is to hold and keep you, and fears losing you, and the snakes are keeping you reined in,
maybe the snakes are a thing that are keeping you here, but it's not necessarily like a productive way of doing that.
I thought they were trying to scare you off.
well, like scare her to stay. Basically, like once she crossed the threshold into being on the beach with the kids, then the snakes say, like, no, you can't leave. So it's like, I mean, that could mean like, all right, if it's parenthood, once you've entered parenthood, you can't go back. And like maybe the snakes are your fear and anxiety, the reasons why you're invested that are connected to like failure, right? Or fear. And then the beach here would be like wanting you there, but from like a more positive aspect of like enjoying the experience of being a parent and being invested in all the wonderful things of being on the beach.
That feels true.
Yeah, it's always a better place to be driven from. I want to do this and not like I have to do this because if I fuck up, XYZ negative consequence, I can't I have no options. Like that's sort of negative driving force compared to wanting to be in a beautiful place full of organic food and young youth.
Young youth.
I was looking for the word denizens.
This dream feels like it's about like mindset entering parenthood.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to hear the beach entry now. I know we've read it before. I know it's about like
precipices, right?
spaces. Yeah, or yeah, because like I think the water is like unconscious and unknown.
Okay. To dream of a beach means, Olivia, if you're reading this message, I have a very important... no, sorry. To dream of the beach represents a time in your life when you are confronting negativity or facing uncertainty. So that clicks.
Right.
It may also represent a transition from a familiar setting to an unfamiliar one.
Mm-hmm.
Confronting a current difficulty. Confronting a hard reality after first believing you wouldn't have to. Negatively dreaming of the beach may be a sign that you are confronting a serious crisis moment in your life. Possibly a sign that you are not doing enough to take a serious problem or crisis seriously enough.
Yeah.
So transition, difficulty, a hard change. I would say like giving birth and having a newborn definitely falls into that categorization.
And you're right. I remember like you said something about the unknown. I feel like that was maybe in the ocean entry.
That's what water is.
Water.
Yeah. I think it's more to do with like your subconscious and like uncertainty.
Oh yeah, because we talked about the size of the body of water having to do with I can't remember if this was like a Dream Bible thing or something we came up with, but the size of the body of water seems to reflect like the gravity of the unknown quantity.
Yeah.
So there were giant snails and there were giant, what was it? There were snails and was it giant snakes or what was the other giant thing?
The snakes were big, but they were just big snakes.
I thought there was another animal that was giant.
No.
Okay, so giant snails. Okay. So giant is an aspect of yourself that is imposing or too big to ignore.
I feel like that's a giant.
Yeah, a giant. They were a giant snails.
They weren't that. They were large snails.
You said giant.
Okay, they were like big, large sea snake. They weren't like enormous.
For the
like,
listeners, she's holding up like a basketball size.
Like smaller
between
than
her
that.
hands.
They were like.
Okay.
They were like the size of a medium-sized cantaloupe.
Okay, I tore the giant page out of my Dream Bible. And I tore it up, and no one can ever read it now. No one ever gets to know what that meant. You're welcome. Snails.
Sorry, that's just like... You're like the boyfriend who's like, fine, I guess I just won't help you ever again. So I just will never load the dishwasher ever again.
She's referencing a very specific TikTok video that we just watched together. It's not like
babe,
a broad reference for everyone to understand.
No, that's a fucking thing. That is a thing. You're not that guy, but
that guy's
today
out there.
I am. All right, snails. To dream of a snail represents annoyance with slow progress, impatience, or perseverance. Thoughts about something in your life that's really slow or that's taking too long, frustration with stagnation or being held back with problems, a slower approach to handling obstacles and challenges, a slower approach to life and how you handle obstacles and challenges. Snails may also reflect your overall pace and speed in achieving your goals as well as your level of patience and perseverance.
I feel like that was the vibe of the beach. Like the beach had like a island time vibe. Like nobody had anywhere to go. Nobody had anything that they had to do.
That's kind of where you are right now, is you're in like a holding pattern where you are just kind of waiting for the baby to come.
Yeah. And I felt positively about the snails in the dream. But I felt like they were kind of like representing what you're going to get out of this place.
Okay.
There's a lot of like negative things in that Dream Bible entry, but I felt really positively about the snails.
Do you remember anything about the play?
It was nighttime when the play was happening, and then I turned around and the snakes jumped at me. It was daytime again. And then by the time I turned back and the kids were... Wait, no. Oh, okay, hang on. Let me remember this. Because there was like a day and night thing happening. I feel like it was definitely daytime when we came down there. Yeah, it was daytime when they were performing the play. And then I turned around to leave. and the snakes came at me. And then when I came back through the veil, it was nighttime and they were all asleep.
But do you remember anything about like the content of the play?
I think there was dancing involved. There wasn't a lot of speaking. There was a lot of movement.
Okay.
Yeah.
So to dream of attending a play represents an experience in life where you're noticing people doing everything possible to fake or appear to be doing something for real. A lot of effort being taken to project fake opinions, ideas, or situations to others. Feeling that someone else is too concerned with you believing something that you feel isn't true. Carrying on a role or persona. And then there's a negatively section.
I don't think any of that resonates. I felt like I was intruding on like a performance that wasn't, I don't know, like I felt like it almost felt like they were doing like a ritual or something. And like the only reason I turned around was like, because my thought was like, oh, they're in the middle of something. Like, I don't want to walk in on this right now.
And so did you feel like any of those entries like connected or didn't know it feel resonant?
I don't know. I don't feel that much.
Okay.
I feel like the last piece for like this play makes, or this dream is making a lot of sense. I think the last thing that I would want to look at is the clothes. Because I would feel like we've talked about that a lot recently with clothes representing your personality.
Yeah.
And like the color and quality or whatever can mean things about it.
Yeah. So there's a clothing entry. There's also a nakedness entry. I don't know what feels more relevant to you.
I feel like both. And there was special attention paid to my underwear.
Underwear. Okay. And I think we talked about underwear being like a more intimate version of clothes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, nakedness. To dream of being naked represents feelings of being vulnerable or exposed. An aspect of your life is totally out in the open or revealed. An unexpected change may be making you feel like your private life is suddenly on display to others. Feeling put on the spot in a way you aren't used to. Feeling that you have no protection. Feeling awkward, a lack of privacy. Negatively dreaming of being naked may reflect your dishonesty that is impossible to hide anymore. Feeling embarrassed that you got caught lying. Personal information or private matters that may be out in the open. Feeling vulnerable or susceptible to influence. Feeling exposed, humiliated, or powerless because a weakness has been revealed. Feeling shame, inept, or inadequate. Feeling vulnerable to other judgment. Vulnerable to judgment from others. Sorry.
I felt way more comfortable being naked in this dream than I would in real life.
There's a positively entry too.
Yeah, I would say that it was like I did not have negative feelings about being naked there.
There's naked at a beach specifically.
What?
Nude beach.
That might have
Yeah, I guess so. To dream of being naked at a beach may represent feelings about being unable to hide your true intentions or to act dishonest while confronting a negative situation. Facing uncertainty in your life while being unable to lie or hide anything. The beach reflects a confrontational moment in your life where the nakedness points to feelings about your true self being on display to others.
Oh,
that
yeah.
actually resonates.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That feels like that's about childbirth, and parenting and postpartum. But like, that feels like the most vulnerable position that I'm ever going to be in. And
so this dream is about Victor seeing you poop.
this dream is about Victor seeing me poop. And like being unable to hide your true intentions or whatever. Like people talk about like being in labor and like making like primal guttural sounds that they're like they have no control over, and like taking all of their clothes off and being like in a fully different like altered mindset and like
While giving birth?
Yeah, like it's almost described as like unmedicated birth can be like kind of a psychedelic experience.
The body starts making the medication.
Yeah, no, for real. Like it's like the hormones are crazy.
Craziest trip you'll ever have, man.
But like actually though.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be like adrenaline combined with a bunch of other things going on that are specific to childbirth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oxytocin being probably the biggest one. But like, it's weird to like I know that that's going to happen and there's going to be people in our home like witnessing it. And I'm probably not even going to be able to care about that because I'm going to be in such a different
Well, these are
place,
people who are
you know?
familiar with the experience, right?
Right. But
We're
I'm
talking
still going to
about
be like
professionals.
fully naked. Like,
Right, which is going to be weird for you, but for them, it's another day at the office, right?
right. Sure.
So, but I mean, it's easy to say that. And then it's a whole other thing to live it.
Yeah. I mean, like, I understand that they see it all the time, but it's the first time that I'm going to poop in front of a room full of people. So, and I keep hearing that that's going to be the least of my concerns. And I believe it, that's how fucking crazy this is
Yeah,
going
at
to be.
this juncture, it's all you can think about.
Yeah, because it's the only thing I have any like context for. I've pooped before.
Yeah,
I have done that.
You can't imagine the pain you're going to be in, but you can imagine pooping in front of people.
I can't imagine a watermelon coming through my pelvis, but I can imagine pooping, and I can imagine doing it in front of people.
Our first episode was about that.
Right. Yeah, I've had dreams about this. Nightmares, actually.
It's all going somewhere. It's all leading up.
Thank you for listening to The Young and the Restless.
You can follow us on social media at The Young and the Restless Pod and submit your dreams for interpretation to thejungandtherestlesspod@gmail.com.
And as we always say, hop on in, the water's non-existent.
It's you